What's going on YouTube? My name is Ohpon. Welcome to the studio. Today's topic, post-production. Post-production is vitally important for those of us who are singer-songwriters. We produce our own music and our own vocalists or lyricists. We are meticulous most of the times because we are artists. And when we're doing the production, we might stick so long to trying to figure out what instruments to use, and it takes us so long that we never get to the second stage, which is writing. So post-production comes in handy. Post-production allows us to lay down a simple beat, a template, just something that can inspire us to write lyrics. We write our lyrics, we get those lyrics down on paper, and then we can come back and do post-production after we've recorded the lyrics. I'll show you a perfect example of this in the session here. Before we get into it though, like, subscribe, share it with your mom, put it on her fridge, whatever you got to do, so that I can get to 100 subscribers. Let's look at this session. I'm going to show you what I have in this beat, what I started off with first, and then what I added after lyrics. So before any lyrics or vocals were written down on this beat, what we had were just these plugins here. Just these tracks. So about 10 tracks. So we had just about 10 tracks of instruments before we and then we went straight to writing vocals, and the amount of instruments that we aren't using is about 11. All these muted tracks here, which you can't kind of see because my computer is blocking it, but all these tracks here are currently muted. Those are instruments that I added after lyrics, and I'll show you what those are later. But this is what we started off with. We started off, and these two tracks kind of count as one because this is just a sample split between two tracks. So we started off with just this. Right, so I started off with just that, and you see why this track's separated because the volume kind of dipped there. I started with that, and then I went ahead and added my drums. So these are all the drums. I'm just going to go from here to here and unmute those. So then we added drums. That sounds like this. Right, and for the drums, we just have two kicks that are layered on top of each other, and two different snares. We have, and these are all just audio waveforms, not MIDI, but we have this snare. Right, so a lower bass snare, and then a higher pitch snare, lower pitch snare, higher pitch snare, and then obviously our hi-hats, which is this here, which was I played out in MIDI, and then I just bounced it down to audio. Right, so that's what that sounds like. So just the sample and the drums, and I thought that was good enough. Went ahead and laid down some melody. So we got this keys, and it doesn't play all the time, but it plays, I believe, I don't know what this is, the chorus section, but this is what that sounds like. So adding in the piano, the chords. Right, and then I'm pretty sure that's just a triad. Right, that's just a triad, and then this bass here that I added. Right, so all that together, let's see here. All that together sounds like this. Right, and that took me about a couple hours, but instead of hyper focusing on what different instruments might accompany this and make this all sound better, I just thought to leave it there and then write my lyrics, and then come, because I wanted to make a song, and then come back to the production later. So that's what I did. So then I wrote my lyrics. I'm gonna unmute the vocals, and now with the lyrics we have this.
Who could've came and changed my view of love? Who could've came and changed my style of music? No one bring about a better smile from me. But you. Can't stand with another lie to me. But you. Stay the one to stack on self-esteem. That's you. Who's the one that's always backing me? That's you. You can get anything you love. Know at times it seems a little hard. Don't believe that ruin my vibe. Baby girl, you are my life. I can get you any type of high. Us together, it's best type drug. Best believe I spend my time, baby girl, and die in our stride. Know if it came down to it and gotta spin the block, then baby you ride. World shaky, don't matter much. One weed together, cut down the friction, then glide.
Right? So that's what I have after I added in the vocals. So I thought, okay, there's some gaps in there. I want to fill in some space. So now it's time to go into post-production and add in some other elements. So to add another layer on the bottom end, I went ahead and added this synth that goes through everything. I'm going to mute the vocals again so you can hear that synth. This is what the synth added in now. This is what the synth sounds like. Right? So very simple, just a dun-dun-dun-dun-dun that synth is doing. So we went ahead and added that in. And then, so now this is what the synth in. So it adds that nice little melodic touch every now and then. And then for the chorus, this is what it sounds like currently without any post-production. Let me unmute this.
My view of love. Who could've came and changed my style of music? No one bring about a better smile.
Right, so that synth kind of fills in a gap, but I want more of something to fill in that space, to excite it. So I added this saxophone and this trumpet, which I'm gonna bring up here so you can see them. I added this saxophone and this trumpet post-production to fill in that space.
Who could've came and changed my view of love? Who could've came and changed my style of music? No one bring about a better smile from me. But you. Can't stand with another lie to me. But you. Stay the one to stack on self-esteem. That's you. Who's the one that's always backing me? That's you. You can get.
Right, so now you're kind of seeing that those gaps are filling in. Now the song is starting to sound more full when those instruments are coming in. And if I were to use those particular instruments while I was making the beat, I wouldn't have had the idea to use those sounds or fill in those gaps because, well, there were no lyrics yet. I wouldn't know what gaps to fill in. This is what the bridge sounds like currently before the post-production on the bridge.
If it came down to it and gotta spin the block, then baby you ride. World shaky, don't matter much. One weed together, cut down the friction, then glide.
Right, and you see here these two yellow tracks. Well, these are more saxophone and trumpets. I wanted to fill in some more space here instead of that being empty, so I added this. Let's unmute those two.
If it came down to it and gotta spin the block, then baby you ride. World shaky, don't matter much. One weed together, cut down the friction, then glide.
So now you see how post-production can add body and fullness after the lyrics. And sometimes I prefer to wait until the lyrics are down because you can see how it just goes together a lot better. So we got the trumpets again that come in, and then the last little bit over here towards the end, we have this bridge that plays here. Actually, before we get to this section, let's see what this violin is doing. We added a violin. It's this here. So let's solo that violin and see what it's doing. right? So that violin came in there. Let's listen to what it sounded like before that violin was added post-production.
Know sometimes I complicate my needs, and sometimes I leave in the heat of the moment. Please don't notice we not enemies.
Right? So it sounds like empty again. Let's playing out those violins.
Know sometimes I complicate my needs, and sometimes I leave in the heat of the moment. Please don't notice we not enemies. Know it's true, my mind 50 miles per hour. Yeah, to add a little dialogue like I exhaust in my mouth. Clear, I'm not a fan when the convo got heat. My remedy is pushing me to keep my cool, avoiding. By any means, I'ma get you what you need if it means upgrading me. You are more than worth it. No, if it came down to it, ain't got. Who could've came and changed my view of love? Who could've?
Right? So you see how that now adds character, and it's kind of doing a dance with the vocal.
Notice we not enemies.
Especially this 3-part here.
Yeah, to add a little dialogue like I exhaust in my mouth. Clear, I'm not a fan when the convo got heat. My remedy is pushing me to keep my cool.
Right? And then this is really doing something here. I'm going to turn the volume up on this for a second. See here. I'm going to turn the volume up on the violin here for a second, just so you can hear what this is doing to accompany that part of the verse. So just turn that to 0.
You are more than worth it.
So you see how the violin, you are more than worth it, kind of accompanies that vocal, kind of mimics that vocal take I did there.
You are more than worth it.
Right, and I believe this was at 6 something before. Cool. So that's what that's doing. And then it comes in again here before the chorus drops. And something else that I added post that I forgot was this riser, and that's just adding climax before that chorus before that chorus comes back in.
Glad. Who could have came and changed?
Right, and then the last couple things that we have muted here are these things here at the bottom. Let's see what we got going on there that I added post-production. So you got these tracks here I added in later. First we got this part here. This is what this sounds like by itself. Right? So we got that going on. That sounds nice. And then we also added this little section here. I'm going to solo that. Right? And that's one's on the left, one's on the right, or one's on the right, one's on the left, whichever way it is. And then together they sound like this. And then with the original triad. Right, and then I also added these birds here. This is just a sample of birds, and this is what that sounds like. I'll play it without all of this. So you got the birds in there, and then that with all the lyrics together. Oh, we're not done yet. We also have, I added these drums here, some rim shots, and then this kind of roll here. Right, and that was all added after the fact with that riser. So just those layers together that were added post, along with this, sounds like this. Right, and then it goes back into the beat. So now with the song, I'll unmute these.
No, if it came down to it and gotta spin the block, then baby you ride. World shaky, don't matter much. One weed together, cut down the friction, then glide. Who could've came and changed my view of love? Who could've came and changed my style of music? No one bring about a better smile from me. Handstand with another lie to me. Stay the one to stack on self-esteem. Who's the one?
Right. So you get the point. So that's what I was able to do post-production. You see how I had a simple beat about drums, a melody, a bass, and that sample, which had that vocal sample on there. And there's also some guitar in that vocal sample. I had that simple enough. Went ahead, wrote some lyrics, put the lyrics down, and then came back, added that post-production to finish the production, filling those pockets, making the song more full. And two benefits of that. One, it would have taken me a lot longer to come up with different ideas for instruments and sounds, and then taking me longer to get to the writing process, when really what I want to do is make a song, not make a beat. I'm not a beat producer. I'm a artist. It sounds weird saying that because I'm not great at all, but I'm into my hobby is making music, right? Lyrical music that people can listen to, not beats that people can feel just alone. So I want to get to the writing stage. So benefit of post-production, one, I get to the writing stage faster. Benefit number two, the post-production, the production of the song it's more symbiotic with one another. It's a dance that you can kind of, they kind of like a zipper. They fit in together like a puzzle. Those trumpets accentuate and complement the chorus, and the violin leads up, adds to building the energy going into that second chorus or that last chorus, as well as those different melodic instruments that are coming in with the different pianos. The birds are adding their own little environment, and all those sounds were able to be picked based off of the feeling and the theme of the lyrics. And if the post-production would have came before the lyrics, well then it might have changed the whole course of the song. So post-production can be beneficial for all those reasons and more. Post-production, try it yourself.